What's up, everybody? My name is Amy, and this is the Ruby Pearl Glamper True Crime Podcast.
Put your wave and you're sitting on top of the world.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Ruby Pearl Glamper True Crime Podcast. My name is Amy. Welcome to my show. Hope everyone has had a wonderful day. I'm going to jump right into the subject of this video. I have this set to private so that no one comes into my chat, because this subject is about my feelings, my thoughts, and my opinions, and it is not a discussion. The reason why I wanted to make this video, for all intents and purposes, I wanted to make this video for Don and Candus Wells, the parents of Summer Moon Utah Wells, who has been missing now for almost a year and a half. The reason why I wanted to make this video was to directly talk to Don and Candus and just tell you what my personal thoughts and my personal feelings and opinions are in regards to Summer's disappearance, and you, her parents, who are under a cloud of suspicion that you may have had some sort of involvement in her disappearance and or demise. Now, something happened recently in the streets of YouTube that kind of gave me the encouragement to do this. There was a recent spat between Bullhorn Betty and Dolly Vision. Now, I'm not going to get into the middle of that. That is between them, and that is between them to resolve. The streets of YouTube have run wild with it. People have taken sides. People have blown it completely out of proportion. they are still friends. They will continue to be friends. But like I said, that is between them. My name's Bennett, and I ain't in it. What I will say is that I participate a lot on Bullhorn Betty's channel. And the first time that I went on to her panel, she was so welcoming to me. The very first time I came up on her panel, she was so welcoming to me and so kind and so nice to hear my thoughts and opinions and whatnot on what we were discussing that day, what she was discussing that day. I have a lot of wonderful talks with Andra when I go on her panel. She is very passionate about these cases, as am I. I've been doing this a long time. I've been studying and following true crime cases since the late 80s. And, Betty and I, we share our thoughts and opinions, and we have great discussions. And, we really, just mesh together on these cases, because our sole intent is to bring awareness and justice to these cases and for the victims. I also have participated a few times on Dolly Vision. However, the very first time I called in to Dolly's show and I told Dolly who I was and that I was from Arkansas, I happened to mention that I had been a long time advocate for the West Memphis Three: Damian Eccles, Jason Baldwin, and Jesse Miskelly, 3 teenagers who were accused and convicted of killing 3 8-year-old boys. And the West Memphis 3 case is a very controversial case. You have people that believe that the teenage boys, who are now men, are guilty. And you have people like me who believe that they are innocent. But the first time I called in to Dolly's show, and I happened to mention that, all hell broke loose. Dolly wasn't quite as welcoming to me as Betty was. And he basically sort of hit the fan. And, oh my God, they're guilty, they're guilty, they're guilty, they're Satan worshipers, they're this, they're that, they are guilty. Why do you think they're innocent? Why would you stand up for them? Blah, 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 blah. And every time I tried to speak and tried to tell him, a few different reasons why I believe that they're innocent, I couldn't even get a word in edgewise. He wouldn't even let me talk. He was dead set that they were satanic worshipers and that they were guilty, and just would not even let me get in a word edgewise. And you know what? It's not a big deal. I learned a long time ago not to try and argue with people over that case, especially the people who do believe that they are guilty. It's a never-ending argument, and it doesn't change my thoughts and opinions. So I did not listen to Dolly Vision for a long time. And then I saw him going out to Fruitland, Idaho, and on the Michael Mucky Vaughn case, who's missing in Fruitland, Idaho. And I saw him going to Georgia and working with Bullhorn Betty and them on the Quentin Simon case and protesting out in front of Billy Joe's house. So I decided I would give Dolly a second chance. Although I'm sure he could have cared less that I gave him a second chance. And because he's a big channel and he doesn't even really, know or ever knew that me and my little channel even exist. So, but I decided to give him a second chance and start listening to him again, because at the end of the day, while we may have differences of opinions in cases, I realize that at the end of the day, Dolly wants justice. I want justice. Betty wants justice. Molly wants justice. House of Williams wants justice. Justin for All wants justice. A lot of these people here on YouTube just want justice for these victims. And they want the people who hurt these victims to go to prison. So I decided to give Dolly a second chance. And, for the most part, I like Dolly. But I just, wanted to mention that because that has been sort of the inspiration of why I wanted to do this video. So I want to start with telling you about my little stray cat, Baby Summer. Little cat I took in when my landlord and them moved back to Texas. And she was born stray, so she has always been very, very skittish. And it has taken me over a year now to get her to trust me and to like me and not be skittish of me, and come in here in my Glamper and stay in here with me. Here's a little video of Baby Summer that I want to show you.
Baby Summer, sweet Baby Summer, Baby Summer, yes, that's a sweet Baby Summer.
Isn't she a sweetheart? Bless her heart. She's so soft and she's so sweet. And I just love her. But I named her Baby Summer after your daughter, Summer Moon Utah Wells, to keep Summer's memory alive, to not ever forget about her. Her mom is named Gabby, and she's named after Gabby Petito. But it took me a long time to get little Baby Summer to trust me. And she's so cute. In the mornings she comes and sits on the steps, or she climbs up here on the spare tire on the back of my Glamper, and she meows and lets me know that she wants in to eat. And she comes in and eats, and if there's no food in the bowl, woo, she is raising Cain at me till I get some food in the bowl. But when I got her to trust me and I got her to start getting, in the bed with me and letting me hold her and pet her and all that, and, sometimes she meows at me and I wonder what she's trying to tell me. And when she does, meow at me and whatnot, I think about Summer. I think about Summer out there somewhere. Whether she's out there alive somewhere or whether her remains are out there somewhere. And she is begging for us to find her. She is crying and she is begging us to find her. These cases, weigh very heavily on my heart, especially when it comes to missing children or deceased children and things like that. These cases keep me up at night. And they infiltrate my dreams, whether those dreams be nightmares or whether they just be dreams. And one night I had a dream that I found Summer alive. And I can't tell you how happy that little girl was that I found her in my dream. She was smiling and she was so happy that I had found her. And I picked her up and I perched her on my hip and she was just hugging me and smiling and so happy because I had found her. And I was going to take her home to live with me. And that I was going to give her a happy home and she was going to be loved and she was going to have a mama. And I can't control my dreams, and I'm not telling you this to deliberately try and hurt you, but this is what I dreamt. So Summer is out there somewhere, and she is begging for us to find her. She is crying. Her soul is crying, begging for the truth of what happened to her to come out and begging us to find her. So Dawn and Candus, I want to tell you what my thoughts and feelings are and my opinions, because it's important to me for you to understand why people doubt you, why people think that you are somehow involved in whatever happened with Summer, whether it be a deliberate act or whether it be an accident that you all covered up. It's important to me to make you understand why you're under such a cloud of suspicion. Now you may think, lady, I don't even fucking know you. What your opinion doesn't mean shit to me. And that's true. But I care about Summer And I want Summer to be found, and I want the truth of what really happened to her. I also want you, Don and Candus, to understand that this is not personal. While it may seem personal because Summer is your daughter, she's missing, this is your case, and you are her parents, you as parents being under a cloud of suspicion is nothing exclusive to just you. Please understand that. Every child that goes missing or is found deceased, the parents are always the first suspect. It's the same when a man or a woman goes missing or is found deceased. The first suspect is always their spouse or their significant other. So this is just standard, routine, true crime investigation. This is not anything exclusive to just you. I spent many, many years believing that John and Patsy Ramsey had something to do with what happened to their little girl, JonBenet Ramsey. Or that their son, Burke, did something to JonBenet and they covered it up. I spent years thinking those people were guilty until the Lou Schmidt investigation. Until Lou Schmidt investigated the case and found evidence of an intruder. Foreign DNA was found and whatnot. And then later, they were finally officially cleared because their DNA did not match foreign DNA that was found on JonBenet's body. So they were finally excluded, but you know what? It don't matter because people still think they're guilty. And people still think Burke possibly did something to his sister. But you know what? That's another case. This is about Summer, and this is about you, Don and Candus, and your cloud of suspicion. The first thing I want to mention is that I personally have never judged y'all for being less fortunate. I have never judged y'all for having a messy house or a messy yard or a not so, nice house or anything like that. I'm not rich either. And my kids and I have seen some hard times, some real hard times. Times without groceries, times without electricity, times without gas and hot water. We've seen some hard times. My house is not spotless. It never has been. And there have been times that it's gotten, more messy than others because of my battle with mental illness and clinical depression. So, that's something I've never judged y'all for. I'm from Arkansas. I'm from the country. I have no problems with kids playing in water hoses, have no problems with kids swimming in ponds, rivers, lakes, creeks. Buddy, I've swam in it all. I've swam in Allen water in the bauxite mines, blue holes in the bauxite mines, you name it. I've swam in everything there is to swim in. So those are things that I have never, ever judged you for. Now, I kind of want to start with Candus. And I want to go back to the very beginning of when Summer went missing and what happened on that first day. That day that Summer went missing, and tell you a little bit about what my issues are with Candus's story. Okay, let's start with the swimming hole. Okay. Now, while it may be wrong and it may be illegal, I am not judging or saying anything about Candus buying a vape for Hunter. I'm not judging her about whether or not, she bought some kind of a drink that had some alcohol in it or whatever at the gas station or whatever, and Hunter drank it. While it's wrong, I can't stand and judge you for that because I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I've been smoking since I was 14 years old. I have been drinking since I was in high school. So as far as underage, and someone bought me alcohol. Now, it used to be that, a child could go in the corner store at the gas station and buy their mom or dad a pack of cigarettes. It's not like that no more. I get carded more for cigarettes than I do alcohol. Than I ever did for alcohol, as a matter of fact. You know what? I've been sneaking in a bar since I was 16 years old. Been smoking since I was 14 years old. I'm not just not going to stand here and be a hypocrite and judge her for that. What I do have a problem with is the awkwardness of Hunter being with Candus that day, and her being in some sort of a dispute or not speaking or being friends with Allie or whatever, and just but yet going and picking up her 15-year-old son and taking her with him. There's just was something awkward about that. But my biggest issue is what really happened at the swimming hole that day. Hunter has stated that there was some sort of an incident with Summer and she was in the water playing and she went under and came back up. I don't know if she was okay, if she was choking, if she was almost drowned or whatever. I wasn't there. I don't know what really happened. But I don't know why Hunter would make that scenario up if it didn't happen. I don't know why he would make something like that up if it didn't happen. But Candus was very quick to call Hunter a liar and say, "Oh, that never happened. That never happened. She never went under the water. That never happened." Also, Candus the first phone call she made to someone when Summer disappeared was to Hunter. This 15-year-old son of her former bestie, Allie. There's something about Candus and Hunter that really bothers me and bugs me. I don't want to point fingers without any kind of proof or say anything, but something's just not right with those two. I'm going to be honest with you. I can't say for sure what, but something is just weird about those two and their relationship. And then, Candus went over, to my understanding, and you or anyone else can correct me if I'm wrong, within the next day or two, Candus was going over to Allie's to talk to Hunter and ask him, what did you tell the cops? What did you say to the cops? What, blah, 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 blah. Okay, if nothing happened to Summer while Hunter was in the company of Candus and Grandis and Summer, then why does she need to worry about wondering what Hunter told the cops and just being all suspicious about it? She should have been concentrating on finding her missing daughter. But yet, he's the first phone call she makes. And she's going over there to Allie's house and wondering what did you tell the cops? What did you say? What did you tell? Did you tell them this? Did you tell them that? Blah, 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 blah. That's suspicious. If you have nothing to hide, then why are you trying to get your story straight with a 15-year-old kid? That's suspicious. Suspicious behavior, Candus. Also, to my understanding, and you again can correct me if I'm wrong, Candus was in the house the whole time. That first night of Summer's disappearance, when the cops got there and everything, and I guess started looking and questioning y'all and everything. To my understanding, Candus was barricaded up in the house, and she was talking to Allie on Snapchat or TikTok or whatever social media form she was talking to her on, and calling Hunter, and I don't know what else she was doing, but it has been put out there that basically Candus was in the house and she was just not out there amongst the cops and the searchers and talking to the cops and telling them what happened and out there trying to help search for Summer. I understand if the cops told y'all not to help or whatever. I mean, I understand that. There's nothing you can do really about that. But to my understanding, it was of her own accord that she was barricaded up in the house and not talking to the police and whatnot. Candus's story does not jive. The story that was given about the circumstances under which Summer disappeared Candus says that she spent, at tops 15, 20 minutes maybe helping her mother fix her knee brace while Summer had gone into the house after planting flowers and cactuses or whatever they all did. And according to the boys, Summer went downstairs in the basement to play with her toys. 15 or 20 minutes of, helping Grandis fix her knee brace. Candus goes into the house, wants to know, where's Summer? Oh, well, she's down in the basement playing with her toys. Candus calls down into the basement for Summer. No answer. She goes down into the basement. Summer's nowhere to be found. She goes outside, looking around for Summer, whatnot. No Summer to be found. So she and the boys allegedly start looking for Summer. Grandis starts looking. She runs into Allie. Not Allie. Jody Sue Brown says, "Hey, I can't find Summer. Will you help me look?" Sure. Jody Sue gets in, starts looking around. No Summer to be found. So she calls you, Don, and you throw your tools in the car and race home. And both of you allegedly each make a call to 911. That is the story in general, to my understanding. Now, the 911 calls have not been released to the public. However, the dispatch call has been released. And in the dispatch call, the dispatcher states that the little girl's been missing for about 10 minutes. They've been looking around for her, can't find her. Mom went for a walk, came back, and she was gone. Okay. Then you, Candus, go on the news, and you are very stern and you are very clear in telling the local news media there that you don't walk around that area, that you don't go walking anywhere in your neighborhood there in the Beech Creek community. So why did the dispatcher state Mom went for a walk? The little girl's been missing for about 10 minutes or so, and they've looked around and can't find her. Where did she get that idea? Where did that woman dispatcher get that idea? Why did she say that in the dispatch call? You've clearly disputed that. There's also some other things that you, Candus, and Don too, for that matter, have both disputed in this case. And that is that Summer would never get out of the yard. She would never wander off down into the woods. There's bears, there's snakes, and whatnot, and she would never wander off the top of that hill. Yet, you're looking, to my understanding, for in places that are near the road. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this creek that Jody Sue talks about, looking around and the portable buildings there on your property and stuff, those are near the road. Those are close to the road. So, I'm trying to understand that. And I'm just not. But you're dead set that Summer just doesn't wander off or get in the road, go near the road, or go to in the woods or anything like that. As I said, Candus, I have an issue with, to my understanding, you not talking to the cops very much. And calling Hunter a liar, being so quick to call Hunter a liar about what didn't go down at the swimming hole. Those are just some of the issues that I have with Candus's story. You live in a very secluded area, and it's not as if you live in the city limits and a car's driving by and it's just going to snatch a kid off the sidewalk, or riding their bike or whatever. You live way out in the country. You live in an area that, to my understanding, is kind of a dead end. So, and I live in basically a dead end area. If you don't live out here, then you're not coming here. So most of the vehicles that come out here are from people who live in this area, or they are going down to the lake to the boat ramps. So yeah, we do get a lot more, stray vehicles and stuff. But I live pretty far off the road too, as y'all do, on 7 acres. So, it's I'm not saying that someone couldn't sneak up there and be watching your children. But if they were, then that tells me that this was a direct hit. This tells me that someone pre-planned to take Summer. Now, could she have been down close to the road, or whatnot, and some weirdo have been driving by and picked her up? Yeah, it's possible. But and no offense, but your county is, and your area is, infested with SOs. So I do hope that Hawkins County Police Department thoroughly searched and investigated every SO within a 20-mile radius of your home. Let's not get into the fact that Sheriff Ronnie Lawson's own son is an SO and an assayer. Yeah. Yeah, let's not even get on that subject. Now, I want to talk a little bit to Dawn. Dawn, I don't judge you for getting a DWI. I've had a DWI. I got out of it, but I did get a DWI once upon a time in the mid-90s. So I'm not going to stand here and be a hypocrite and judge you for it. I'm not even going to stand here and be a hypocrite and judge you too much for drinking. However, the difference between you and I is that I never brought my alcohol into the house. I have never drank in the presence of my kids. I have never done any drugs in the presence of my kids. As a matter of fact, my kids were fully grown the first time I ever even drank alcohol in front of them. And that was because my ex-sister-in-law came over one night and wanted to make margaritas. And, my kids were grown by that time. But that is something that I have never in my life done, was bring drugs into my house, be under the influence of drugs, or do drugs in front of my kids, or be under the influence of alcohol in front of my kids, because I kept my party life separate from my home life. I had a lot of responsibilities. I had kids to take care of. I had a sick mother who was bedridden that I had to take care of. And I couldn't be, drunk and high and fucked up and all that stuff. So I've always kept that life separate. So I do have an issue with you being drunker than Cooter Brown in the presence of your kids. I do have an issue with you being on drugs in the presence of your kids. Speaking of drugs, Dawn, you especially, I haven't heard it near as much about Candus as I have about you. But you need to be honest about your drug use. We've all done drugs. Most of us here on YouTube, we all have a past. We have done drugs. We have been drunks and alcoholics. And we have seen our partying days. So anyone judging you for that is a hypocrite. However, continuing to do it and continuing to do it in the presence of young children and being under the influence in the presence of young children, yeah, several of us have got a problem with that, including me. But you need to be honest about your drug use. Because your old pal Benny Keyz has told some stories. And normally I wouldn't believe a fucking thing that come out of Benny Key's mouth. But I have to wonder. Don, you talk a lot about the drugs there in your community, and in the Beach Creek community, you talk about the drug dealers that are your neighbors. Fred Hill is supposedly a drug dealer. Jody Sue's ex-husband is supposedly a drug dealer. All these people right there in your area that are your neighbors are all drug dealers, according to your say and other people's say as well. And you've blamed a lot of this on, your community there and your little neighborhood being infested with drugs. You've talked about it quite a lot. But I don't want to hear about them. I want you to be honest about your drug use. I don't want to hear about Andy. I don't want to hear about Fred Hill or anybody else for that matter. I want you to be honest about your use of drugs, whether it be marijuana, whether it be methamphetamine, crank, crack, or croquet, you know, whatever it may be. Just be honest about it and say, yeah, I've been on drugs. Yeah, I've had a meth problem. Yeah, I've had a crack problem or a cocaine problem or whatever. Just be honest about it. I also have a problem, Dawn, with some of the company you've chose to keep. I don't think any of us will ever forget the sight of Benny Keyz walking down to the bottom of your holler, screaming and cussing at JLR, Bullhorn Betty, and Molly Golightly. But what stands out most from that is Benny picking up a stick, a log, and threatening to beat Molly Golightly senseless, to beat the fuck out of her if she so much as steps a quarter of an inch into your driveway. I got a problem with that. I got a problem with men who abuse women. I got a problem with men who don't take care of their kids. And I got a problem with men threatening women. For the record, Molly and Betty and JLR and them standing out in front of your house, protesting as they call it, all that is a new form, another form of protesting. The protesting that you saw in the 60s, during the Civil Rights Movement and the Vietnam War. The protesting that you've seen from Black Lives Matter. If we didn't stand up and fight for our rights and fight for change and stand up and fight for what we believe in, nothing would get done. Our voice is important. The government works for us. We don't work for them. And it's important for us to stand up and fight for our rights and other people's rights and whatnot. Otherwise, we might still be living in segregation. Who knows? But we have fought for change by protesting. And them standing out in front of your house, yelling through a bullhorn or whatever, them standing out in front of Chris and Roberta Laundrie's house, demanding answers of where Gabby was, them standing out in front of your house, demanding to know where's Summer, what happened to Summer. That is no different than the protesting that we see in other situations. They're demanding answers from you about what happened to Summer. They were demanding answers from Chris and Roberta Laundrie about where Gabby was. Because they are standing up for the victims' rights in these cases. And the victims are Summer Moon Utah Wells and Gabby Petito. Plain and simple. You may not like it. You may not like being the subject of someone's protest and someone demanding answers from you. But you know what? We finally got a resolvement in the Gabby Petito case. And I hope someday that we will have a resolvement in Summer's case. I hope that we will one day find out the truth of what happened to Summer and find her alive or find her remains. Don't you think she deserves a proper burial? If she is out there somewhere, don't you think she deserves to be found? God forbid if she was taken by some sick pedophile. She needs to be found, and the truth needs to be told as to what happened to her. Plain and simple. Dawn, you have blamed everyone under the sun in this situation except yourself and Candus. I don't know though. I mean, one time you said you had 7 alibis and Candus had none, so her goose is cooked. She's going down. So I don't know. But you have blamed everyone else for this situation. And not one time have you taken responsibility for you, yourself, your actions, or Candus's actions for that matter. Your sisters came out and told some horror stories about some essaying that went on back when you guys were kids. And they have been drugged through the mill for it. They have been called liars. They have been put through the ringer. Why are you just bringing this up now? Why are you waiting 30 years to say something and blah, 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 blah. You know, maybe they had put it behind them or had dealt with it in their own way or whatever. And probably after 30 years weren't going to say anything about the past until your daughter went missing. Your 5-6-year-old daughter went missing. And they began to wonder, did Donnie do something to my little niece, Summer? Did my brother Donnie S.A. Summer like he did me when I was young? That's why your sisters came out, Dawn. You know, I don't even know your sisters. Never met them in my life. But I can tell you that is the exact reason why they came out and decided to tell their stories and share with the public and tell the public what had gone on in the past when y'all were kids. Because they began to wonder if you hadn't done something to Summer the way you did to them. And yeah, you've admitted it, but it was just we were playing house. She came on to me. She wanted to do it with me and blah, 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 blah. You know, it's her fault. It's your sister's fault. It's never your fault. None of it was your fault. It was all your sister. And y'all were just kids playing house. It's not a big deal. Apparently it was a big deal. I also have to be concerned about the fact that one of your older kids ended up becoming an SO. right here in Arkansas, right here in my home, right here in my state. Sex offenders are not just born. Something goes on in their life, something develops in their life, something goes in their brain or whatever that makes them become child SOs. So can you not understand why some of us would wonder about your son and what led him to become a child SO and do the things that he did? Do you not understand why we would question that and question as to whether or not something happened to him when he was a kid? Did someone do something to him as a kid? Because you know what? A lot of child SOs become that way because they've had it done to them. The victim becomes the victimizer. Seen it way too many times. So, you have to understand that between the situation with your sisters, the situation with your son, Donald Jr., make some of our little true crime heads just spin like a merry-go-round and wonder, wonder, wonder. Excuse me. So, I just want you and Candus to understand that why you all are in such a cloud of suspicion. Now let's talk about the investigation into Summer's case, which has led to even more suspicion. Let's talk about Ronnie Lawson, who I think is about as worthless as tits on a boar hog. I wouldn't call to investigate nothing. Wouldn't call him to investigate why my back is itching. Seriously. I'd just scratch it and go on. Ronnie Lawson has come out and stated that you all were not cooperating any longer with the police department, that y'all had lawyers, which has always been confusing to me about who your so-called lawyers were and if y'all truly had lawyers. I'm not talking about CPS representatives. I'm not talking about DWI, public defenders. I'm talking about a lawyer hired to represent y'all regarding Summer's disappearance. The way John and Patsy Ramsey had to hire attorneys. They were being had the finger pointed at them for their child being killed. So they had to hire attorneys and stuff. But there's never been anything clear about y'all having an attorney specifically to represent y'all regarding Summer's disappearance. Lawyer or no lawyer, why would you not cooperate any further with law enforcement? You know, it baffled me when, Don, you were in jail for your DWI, and Ronnie Lawson stated that he had not been back there, and to my knowledge, did he ever come back there in the jail and talk to you about Summer, or talk to you about Summer's disappearance or anything? Did he ever even attempt to come back there and talk to you? Or did Mr. Pruitt or anybody else try and come back there and talk to you about Summer's disappearance? I'm just curious. You know, I have no faith whatsoever in the investigation that they've done. I have no faith in TBI's investigation. You know, we've heard from Ronnie Lawson and TBI publicly is, we don't have any new information, and YouTubers are causing problems, and don't listen to anything YouTubers have to say. They've been more concerned about what YouTubers are doing and saying, it's, in my opinion, than investigating this case and investigating Summer's disappearance. I personally wish a whole new set of people would be brought in to investigate this case, because I got about as much faith in Ronnie Lawson and Hawkins County and the TBI as I do a fart in a whirlwind. I don't trust that they have truly put forth every effort to get to the bottom of what happened to Summer. I just don't. And them saying that y'all are not cooperating either. If you have nothing to hide, I get it. I understand. You're under a cloud of suspicion. But if you truly have nothing to hide, then why on earth would you not cooperate with the cops? I'm not talking about coming out on YouTube and talking. I'm not talking about going on people's YouTube channel panels and stuff and talking about Summer. And telling us this, that, and the other. I'm talking about privately being completely transparent and completely cooperative with the police and the TBI. You know, and then you have Candus who goes on the local news, and she says, I don't know what in the hell Ronnie Lawson's talking about. Ain't nobody got lawyers. Candus don't have a lawyer to my understanding. Donnie, I can't speak for him, but I don't think he's got a lawyer either, other than your public defender that was there for you for your DWI. So, you know, there is some miscommunication going on there, or something, and I don't know what it is, but you know, something needs to be set straight between your family and the Hawkins County Police Department and the TBI. Something's got to be straight about that, because now I'm hearing that y'all are trying to raise money to hire a lawyer to fight to get your boys back. And so where's this so-called lawyer then that you've been having, all this time that, supposedly keeps y'all from cooperating with Hawkins County and stuff? Who's telling the truth and who's lying? Because at this point, I can't believe a damn word that comes out of anybody's mouth. I don't believe a word coming out of Ronnie Lawson's mouth. And Leslie Earhart, like I said, she and Ronnie Lawson seem to be more concerned about what people are doing on YouTube than finding your daughter, Summer. So those are some other major issues I have with all this. But speaking of y'all going on panels and things like that over the, this last year and a half, you never wanted to answer the hard questions. Candus would go on with buttfuck Benny Keyz and talk about Summer's favorite color and what kind of food she liked, what kind of movies she liked, who was her favorite Disney princess and that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's important. We want to know about Summer. We want to know about her little life and the things that she loved and all that. But Candus has never wanted to talk to anyone and answer any hard questions. And when y'all went on the Dr. Phil show, she freaked the hell out and got up and walked out over the behavior panel, questioning about the, oh God, what is it? The whatever that gang up there is, or I can't even remember the damn name of it now, but anyway, it's supposedly a group of people that are now extinct. But she wigged the hell out about that. And that made me suspicious. And all the things that you, Don, have said when you were under the influence, you said it to, I believe, Molly and Betty and them, talking about, that Summer's in some old nasty hotel room with some dope dealers and they're doing God knows what to her and saying things like that. Some of the most horrific thoughts, and those things take me back to, y'all having any kind of a drug problem, or, and purchasing drugs and things like that. Because drug dealers, if you rip them off or you owe them money, I have seen drug dealers do some pretty horrible things. And they will come after your family to get at you. They will, whether it is because you ripped off the dope man, or you owe the dope man a bunch of money or whatever, they will come after you. I knew a girl. We took her dope off of her when I found her passed out in the bathroom. We took her dope off her that she had come in the club intending to sell, and guess what? She had to hide from the dope man for quite some time. Which didn't bother me a bit because I couldn't stand the damn girl to begin with. As soon as I rolled her over to check her breathing and saw who she was, that's fucking Tasha. I said, Kevin, check her pockets. I know she's got dope. Kevin reaches in her pocket and pulls out a big ass 8-ball. We took it from her, and needless to say, she had to hide from the dope man. Plus, she was barred from our club. Little side story there for you. So, I'm not going to keep going on and on and on and on, but Dawn and Candus, these are the issues that I have. These are the things that are suspicious to me. These are the questions that I have. These are my thoughts and my opinions. And like I said, I can only speak for myself, but there are other people who do have these same thoughts, opinions, questions, and suspicions. There are people out here that fully support y'all and fully believe that you had absolutely nothing to do with Summer's disappearance. I cannot, in all honesty, sit here and say, yes, I know you're guilty. Yes, I know you did something to Summer, or something happened and you covered it up. I cannot sit here with 3 years of criminal justice and 3 years of journalism and years of being an advocate for injustice, and the injustice that I have seen in so many cases, especially here in Arkansas. I can't sit here and say, I know you're guilty. I know you did this. I know you did that, because I don't know. For the record, I have never believed that either one of y'all or Grandis or one of the boys or anything like that deliberately did anything to Summer. I have always fully believed that there was some sort of an accident and y'all covered it up. But I also believe that, whatever accident happened was due to negligence. So, but I've not ever believed that y'all deliberately took your daughter's life. I believe something happened to her and y'all either covered it up, or on the opposite end, someone did kidnap Summer. Those are just my thoughts. My thoughts and my opinions and how I feel. And it was just after, some of the things that have been said this week and this past week and gone on and whatnot, I just felt like I wanted to personally make a video directed to y'all to make y'all understand how people feel. I was listening to Don B day before yesterday, and people have questions. People have suspicions. And, this is not exclusive to you, Don and Candus. This is in any and every case when a child goes missing or is found deceased. The parents are always the first suspect. Also, the last person to see the victim is the first suspect. So, that we have to look at Candus. We have to look at Grandis. We have to look at, was there some sort of an accident between Summer and one of the boys? Did one of the boys push her down and she hit her head and died, and y'all covered it up? And no, I'm not looking to punish your boys. Accidents happen. Kids fight. It happens. So, anyway, those are just some things that I wanted to say and I wanted to talk to you about. I don't know whether either one of y'all will see this video. I hope that you do. And I hope that, you will simply listen to what I say. There's no sense in calling me horrible names the way you've called Molly and Betty horrible names, or anybody else for that matter. There's no sense in that. That's not solving anything. Because, like I said, at the end of the day, people like myself and Bullhorn Betty and Molly and JLR and Justin and Griff and Pam and Charlie K and so many of us just want to know the truth. And we want Summer to be found and her either brought back home or her remains put to proper rest. At the end of the day, this is about Summer Moon Utah Wells. Your beautiful, sweet little girl that has captured the hearts of so many people. We just want to see her found, and we want justice for whoever is responsible for what happened to her and whoever is responsible for her disappearance. I want to thank you for listening. I understand through Dolly that Candus is suffering from a possible stroke or some health problems. I suffer from health problems myself. I don't wish horrible ill will like that on anybody. And if there is something that you had to do with Summer's demise, that is for the courts to take up and for the courts to sentence you accordingly. And otherwise, that's just all there is to it. That's really all I have to say. So anyway, I want to thank you all for listening. I hope you, Don and Candus, are able to hear this video. And here at the Ruby Pearl Glamper True Crime Podcast, my motto is to be the change that you wish to see in this world. As Michael Jackson said, it starts with the man in the mirror. Peace out.
Hey y'all, this is Ellen from the Ruby Pearl Glamper True Crime Podcast. If you love all things true crime, then please hit the subscribe button down below and don't forget to hit that notification bell. And please give us a thumbs up because you're all invited back next week to this locality to have a heaping helping of our hospitality. True crime, that is. Set a spell. Take your shoes off. Y'all come back now. You hear?
Baby summer. Sweet baby summer. Baby summer. Yes. That's a sweet baby summer.